Welcome back to Pace Law Firm, talking today with Fred Ryle. Fred Ryle at fredryle.com. Fred is a financial planner as well as an ex-Argonaut and a winner of the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal. We have to get into that. What happened there? Tell us the story.
Gosh, thanks very much, Sean. It's, to my surprise, it's a labor of love. You work with many children, special needs children and adults. And over the years, the last 10 years, I have really spent most of my time in this particular field, looking after many, many people. And 10 years later, you get this wonderful award, and I was very humbled by it.
Yeah, I saw a picture you were receiving the medal. Where was that? And set the scene for us.
Well, it was at an Advocates AGM meeting, and the CEO and several people from cystic fibrosis were there. One of the beautiful things about working with special needs family is I also get a chance to raise a lot of money for them, and I've been fortunate enough to raise a little less than $500,000 for cystic fibrosis.
That's amazing. How did you get started in all this? I mean, take us through. You were an ex-Argonaut, and then you got into this, and then financial planning is quite the story.
Well, thank you. Well, it's not my design, that's for darn sure. At the end of the day is, you're planning to play professional football, and you get injured. And, not knowing where your career is going to take you. And then the insurance industry got a hold of me, and that was the 17th of August, 1975.
Wow. Okay, so you've been at this
35 years.
While.
35 years.
Excellent. Today we're here to talk about the Henson Trust Fund. I really don't know very much about it except what you've already told me and what I've been studying online. But it seems like something that would be of value for people that are disabled, and we deal with a lot of disabled people at Pace Law Firm. Explain what a Henson Trust Fund is and why is it important?
Certainly. Basically, when you sit down with any family, Sean, there's four areas that I have to concentrate on. It is will planning with proper wording for a Henson Trust, ODSP or Ontario Disability Support Payments,
okay,
and of course an RDSP, which is a Registered Disability Savings Plan. These are four areas that I work with these families, and when I work with these families over a couple of months, we make sure we dot every I, cross every T, everything is done proper, and I know that when they go to sleep at night, two things are accomplished. First thing is they found and we have positioned a guardian for their special needs child or adult in the event mom and dad predeceased them. Okay. And then the second thing is there is money set aside on a tax-free basis sitting in a Henson Trust. And a Henson Trust is probably one of the best estate planning tools that any lawyer can set up for a special needs adult or child.
So let's say we have someone who is unfortunately the victim of, say, catastrophic injuries in a car accident, can't take care of themselves, the age of 25, 26 years old.
Yes.
You come along and you say, look, I want to set up this Henson Trust Fund for you. Explain from kind of, A to Z why it's important for them to do it, why they should do it.
Perfect. A Henson Trust is an absolute discretionary trust.
Okay.
And this was created in 1985 by a young lady named Audrey Henson. And how it really was is a matter of positioning and allowing money to flow into a trust without any effect or any clawback from the government, more specifically from ODSP, Ontario Disability Support Payments.
Okay.
Because they're going to receive about $1,000 a month, every month, from the victim from age 18 to 65, plus they have free health and dental benefits along the way as well, which oftentimes could be even more important than the $1,000 a month.
I know it sounded very basic when I asked the question before, but I'll ask it again because maybe there's some people out there like me. What is the difference? I know that you're taking money, you're putting into this trust, therefore somebody's looking after it, but what's the basic difference between, say, putting the money in this trust and putting it in a GIC or a bank account?
Great question. A Henson Trust is an absolute discretionary trust, which means there's a trustee. So the victim or the special needs adult has to go through a trustee to access any money. And therefore, because there's a trustee there, they do not have direct access to the funds.
Okay.
Compared to a GIC, they would have direct access. It would not be tax sheltered, anything of this nature, and therefore that would just really create problems, because why would the government give you any money if you have access to all this money?
So because you have the Henson Trust, therefore the government will supply you with that cash from the disability plan.
That is correct.
For, what is it, until age 65?
Correct.
Okay, so that's quite a great deal. I mean, it includes dental, it includes health. Are there any tax incentives there, anything like that?
Very much so. As a matter of fact, there's not only tax incentives, but there's also exempt and non-exempt assets. So such as a lot of my clients will ask me, well, geez, Fred, I'd like to buy a home. Can I buy a home for my special needs adult or a child? And the answer is yes, you can. That's an exempt asset, and that has no effect on ODSP whatsoever, and it will not harm or the money that will come from ODSP, it will certainly not be clawed back.
Now, timing-wise, when does this have to be? Like, do you have to tell the government before you start receiving disability from the ODSP that you do have a Henson Trust Fund set up, or how does it work?
Well, it's another good question, and really is around 17 and a half is when we start applying for the ODSP benefits themselves.
Okay.
However, prior to that, if we're dealing with a child, and that could be from birth, that what we also can set up is a registered disability plan, and that's a whole nother area, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that at another time.
Okay.
Because there's lots of rules around that, but again, it is another brilliant financial planning vehicle for these types of, again, adults and children, where we can deposit an awful lot of money, and it can grow tax sheltered, and it creates another income stream for the child or adult later on in their life.
Okay, so personal injury lawyers, of which Pace Law Firm has quite a few walking around the building, what's the message you would like to send to them to let them know about the Henson Trust Fund and why it's important?
At Pace Law, you are the experts in personal injury. What I would say to you is just be very cognizant of a situation where there needs to be proper will planning, maybe a collaboration with an estate planning lawyer. Henson Trust is very critical in terms of wording, and then understanding a process is that at ODSP around 18, and then of course an RDSP we can set up sooner. So it's more of a resource that the personal injury lawyers at Pace Law, what they need to know is they've got lots of resources, hopefully myself and others, that we know the process. We know the process better than most.
Okay, now we're talking about trust funds and a lot of letters and ODSP and things like this. At the middle of all this, of course, are people. Talk about, do you have a couple of examples really quickly of a couple of clients and they've been satisfied with this?
Oh gosh, yes, well, you can appreciate it's very emotional. And when you sit down with the family, there's such a plethora of information. Most of the times, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I come along and I have a process, and the process takes them from alpha to omega, and it simply takes them through the entire process. And that process could last months because I'm working with them and their will planning, taking them to an estate planning lawyer, making sure the Henson Trust wordings is in place, making sure at the appropriate time, maybe ODSP, we have to apply, understanding RDSP, understanding the tax benefits, understanding the grants, the bonds, and how do we fund the Henson Trust, and we provide insurance to fund what the child will need. It's complex, but at the end of the day, when, I guess the best way I can describe it is people never shake your hand and they never thank you. They hug you.
Excellent. All right, Fred Ryle at fredryle.com. Thanks for coming by, Fred. Queen Diamond Jubilee recipient, financial planner, and it sounds like you've got a lot of great clients under your belt, and you're willing to talk to more out there as well. So
thank you so much.
That's great. Fred Ryle at fredryle.com. Reach us at pacelawfirm.com, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.